Hi there. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. If you've been here before and if you have never been here before, welcome. This is Sipping with Sonia. I am Sonia Renee and I'm sipping on my water as usual. And if you like this video, I do invite you to like and subscribe. And today I'm going to be talking about, are you ready to build a strong foundation for marriage? Now, before somebody says, what do you know about marriage? Well, I was married for 16 years. We were together for 22. We have 3 children and a beautiful grandbaby and 1 on the way. So I know a little something. Little something, right? And also, even though I'm happily divorced, I will say that I've learned a lot through trial and error. And I want to share some things with you that no one shared with me. Or us rather. So I would like to share some things with you. So going into it, you'll know what you're getting into. Because a lot of times people say, oh, I want to get married. I want to get married. Especially people who have never been married before. And they see other people married and they believe that what they see on the outside looking in is all peaches and cream. But they really don't know the whole dynamic and all the nuances and all the moving parts of what comes with a marriage. And most times people who never had it want what they never had before. So I want to share some things with you just so that, you know, this can kind of cause some critical thinking within you to say, you know what, let me really think about, is this something that I want to do right now in this point in my life? Okay. Building a strong foundation for marriage means creating a relationship rooted in trust, respect, and shared purpose. Before life gets complicated, it's less about preparing for the wedding and more about preparing for the lifetime together. We see people get all hyped up and spend thousands of dollars on a wedding, but they never thought about what type of marriage they're going to have. Okay. So the first tip is honest communication. Do you have honest communication with your partner? Share thoughts and feelings openly, even when it's uncomfortable. Are you able to do that? You know, do you practice active listening? Okay. I always say, listen to respond, not listen to react. Okay. Listen for comprehension. Okay. To understand what the other person is coming from. You know, one of the things I've learned to do is, you know, okay, you said this, but what I heard you say was this. Is this what you're saying? Just to get clarity and making sure you're really paying attention for active listening and not just hearing, but seeking an understanding. Okay. Also address conflict with care and not avoidance or blame. You know, sometimes we can address conflict with anger or frustration or lashing out, but if we don't have a really unclear understanding, then why are we reacting that way? Okay. And shifting the blame instead of taking accountability for our actions. You know, because when you're in a marriage, you know, you're going to be uncomfortable. You can get really uncomfortable on some things that you have to work on yourself. Okay. The second thing is mutual respect. You know, everybody wants to be respected. Okay. Nobody wants to be disrespected. I'm Gen X. I come from a community, a genre of you disrespect me, you're going to catch these hands. Right. So, that's the genre I came from. You know, I was raised that way. We didn't disrespect our elders. So, you know, when it comes to a marriage, nobody wants to get married to you and be disrespected as well. You know, honor each other's individuality, dreams, boundaries, and beliefs. You know, don't be in competition with one another. Don't try to tear the other person down. You know, respect what those are, what those gifts are, and actually help them develop them. Speak with kindness, and even during disagreements. Because when you don't speak with kindness during disagreements, they turn into big, bad arguments and it can get completely out of control, right? And never use love as a weapon for manipulation, guilt, or control. You know, well, I love you. I love you, so I'm not going to do that because I love you. And then you turn around and you do it anyway. Don't do that. Love bombing. Don't do that. Gaslighting. Don't do that. The next one is emotional safety. Emotional safety. Create a space where both of you can be vulnerable without fear of judgment. You know, this is a big thing in relationships today because some people won't even be vulnerable with the person that they're laying down next to every night. You can lay down next to someone and they'll let you touch all parts of their body but never let you into their soul. Because history has shown them from the disappointments that they've been through that they can't trust people. But that's not the case. You have to trust somebody sometime. So that means you have to do the work so that you can trust someone. with your most intimate parts of you. Apologize sincerely and forgive fully. When you're in a marriage, I mean, okay, so y'all had an argument, when you dating somebody and y'all have a fallout, guess what? You go your way and I go mine, baby. Blocked and you're done. But when you marry, what you gonna do? You're gonna go to the other room in the house and get yourself together. That's it. Only thing you can do is go to the other part of the room, go to another room in the house and get yourself together. Because where you going? Y'all locked in. This is a covenant. You can't just walk away when things don't go right. You got to stick and stay. That's what you signed up for, right? Are you ready for that? Also, offer reassurance, not punishment when one of you is struggling. We all go through ups and downs in our life. You lose a job, a business fail, have a family member pass away, or, whatever, go through a health challenge. Are you there to support that person no matter what, for better or worse? Worse can get really bad. Are you going to stick it out? Are you going to leave that person hanging? You got to know, you got to be ready for that, because in this microwave generation age that we're in, everybody is all for the quick fix. Let me get in, let me get out. But with marriage, there is no let me get in, get me out. Once you in, you in. And you got to pay to get in, and you got to buy to get in and pay to get out. And I say that because if you decide you want to get a divorce, let that be their last resort. For me, it's like I wanted to make sure that I had exhausted every possibility of this working. And once I did, I got out. But like I said, you buy to get in with the wedding and all the money you spend on the wedding, and changing your name and buying a house and buying property and whatever you're doing. You have children, and then when you want to get divorced, you got to pay to get out. You may lose your property, or you may lose funds, or whatever the case may be. You lose something. You may lose a part of your identity, whatever. Right? You're paying for something, right? Are you ready for that? Also, shared vision. Talk about the big stuff, the values, the children, the finances, the roles, and the intimacy. You want to have these conversations going in to make sure y'all on the same page. Where do you want to live? What kind of house do you want to live in? What kind of neighborhood do you want to live in? Do you want to have children? How many children do you want to have? What type of school do you want your children to go to? What type of faith are you going to have? Are you going to go to church? Are you going to be Muslim? Are you going to study, Buddhism? What is it? Whatever it is, you have to be on the same page, because you shouldn't not be unequally yoked. When you're unequally yoked, you're not on the same page. There's going to always be conflict, right? So even in intimacy, you got to be careful. Are you affectionate? What's your love languages? Those things need to be talked about. I know in my generation, when we got married, we weren't educated on this stuff, because we were raised by a generation who was taught to take that stuff to the grave. They didn't talk to us about stuff. So we had to figure it out on our own. We practically raised ourselves. We latchkey kids. You know what I'm saying? So, I taught my daughter differently when she got married. I was educating her on certain stuff to pay attention to these things. Make sure you do these things first. Okay? So y'all can be on the same page. That's why she has a good relationship. She has a good marriage. Also, align on what kind of life you're building. Not just how it looks, but how it feels. Okay? What is this supposed to look like? But also, how do you want it to feel to you? And make sure you're on the same page. Leave room to grow together and revisit goals as life evolves, because you're always going to constantly be growing, evolving, and changing. So it's okay to change the goals, and make sure that when you change the goals, you're always still on the same page. Okay? The next one is healthy independence. This is very important, because I was a victim of this in my marriage. Is maintain your own identity, friendships, and passions. I know once I got married, I thought I was supposed to be all about him and my children, and I didn't hang out with my friends as much. I didn't really have me time as much, and I started to lose myself in the relationship, and I had to fight to take my power back, right? Encourage each other's growth and not codependence, because you don't want to be codependent. Now, I'm not codependent because I'm not clingy, needy, but I was an overgiver with no boundaries. And I didn't realize that until later on in life. And he was a taker. So the more I gave, the more he took, but he wasn't reciprocating that. So it was a draining thing. So we weren't on the same page with that healthy independence. And then know that loving someone deeply doesn't mean losing yourself. Like I said earlier, I was starting to lose myself in that relationship. And I was like, so you want to be careful that you still have your friendships outside of the relationship that you're in, the marriage that you're in. Lastly, the last thing is commitment to the work. I know, I know. Oh, we got to do some work, Auntie. Yeah, we got to do some work. You got to stay committed to the work. Why? Because marriage is work. Marriage is work. It is. It's consistent work. And if you're not willing to do the consistent work, you ain't ready for marriage. Because inconsistent people will produce inconsistent results. You got to be consistent. You got to be committed to it, right? Know that love is a verb. It's an action word. Something to do, not just feel. Love is an action word. Don't tell me you love me, don't show me. Because if your actions don't align with what you're saying, how do I believe you? How can I trust what you're saying? Show up every day. You got to show up every day when you're married. You can't show up whenever you feel like it. Oh, I don't feel like it today. No, you got to show up every day when you're married. Even when it's inconvenient. Even when it's uncomfortable. Okay? And prioritize the relationship even when life gets chaotic. Because life will get chaotic. Life will get chaotic. And you got to be able to prioritize what's important to you and your spouse in the moment of all the noise and chatter. Okay? So, think about if you're ready for marriage and if you're ready to build a strong foundation for marriage. These are some key tips that can help you build a strong foundation so that you and your person can be on the same page, aligned, going in the same direction. All right, if you like this video, please like and subscribe and put some comments in the chat. I would love to hear your responses to see how you feel about this. And Auntie, love you. See you on the next video.